Hello, friends. This week, we are going to be talking about the ridiculously less glamorous, absolutely crucial part of photography, which is storage. It's something we all have to deal with when we're shooting over and over and over and over again, so many photos, and the bigger they're getting. Like, I remember back in the day when I started, we used cards that were 2 gigs. Now, this is a 64 gig card, and it's actually probably smaller than what most of us are still using. So, as our cards are getting bigger, so is the need for where and how to manage all our storage. Having a reliable storage system. So, let's talk about this. It is absolutely key, obviously, to protecting your work. And, obviously delivering your clients and keeping good records is great about this. But did you also think about how this relates to your actual money and time and stress? Because having a really good system in place when it comes to your storage, especially when it's first beginning, you think, I don't need that much, I don't need that much. You need to have everything in place and a system in your mind before you start dealing with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of photos, because most likely in your career, you're going to be dealing with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of photos. I did a wedding earlier this year, and just that wedding alone, I had 12,000 photos. Now multiply that by 500, and you got a lot of photos to be dealing with. So when it comes down to it, having this smooth system can not only lead to less stress, but also actually more sales. And how organized your system is from the very beginning is going to help you just, again, be less stressed, deal with your clients better, have better communication with your clients, have better, easy access for yourself. It's really, really key. So before we begin, the number one thing to remember is ease, easy access. However you store your photos, you need to make sure you have easy access, and so does your client. So let's take a story for a moment. I photographed a wedding in 2011. That was over a decade ago, almost 15 years ago. The client came back to me 5 years later and said, can you make an album for me? Had I had a system that was a hot mess and didn't know where it was, I would have been able to been like, oh my gosh, where are the photos? Where did I go? What do I do with them? But because I had a system in place, I was like, sure, of course, no problem. Then I don't hear from them again for another 5 years. It's now 11 years and I'm working on their album. And it's because I have a great system in place for all of my photos. I can access my photos from the first wedding I photographed in 2006. Because from the very beginning, I kept everything well organized. So let's talk about this. Having an online gallery is going to be huge, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And in fact, I actually have a huge discount for Black Friday that's already coming out for all of my people that are listening to me. So let's talk first about why a system is important for your storage before you even start your business, before you really get into doing, tens and hundreds of weddings in your career. Secure client confidence early on. So this is also a question that clients oftentimes will ask is, what's your storage system? You don't want to hesitate. You want to be able to have a simple answer right away. This builds that confidence. You let clients know from the very beginning, from your first, that you back up your systems, mention that you have the memories in a safe place and that they'll be there for you. Now, in my contract, I say, technically, I can only hold your images for 1 year. But like I just mentioned, I have them forever. And that is going to make a client go, gosh, I can't believe I lost my photos. It happens all the time. A client will say, I can't access my photos. Please, please, please tell me you still have them. And you can easily say, yes, of course, here you go. You can charge for this or you cannot charge for this, depending on the time. But this is, again, where having that good system could potentially directly lead to more cash in your pocket. You want to be able to show a visual backup system as part of your consultation. People can also like to feel comfortable about this as well, which is why you want to have it be a pretty system. Clients are going to be more likely to trust and invest in products that you can confidently store and keep safe, because this is their memories they want. And this, of course, in your contract, technically you don't have to, but it always makes a person feel good when they know you can. Now, it's also really important to do this because it's easy to then have your system in place early on. You want to be able to do post-shoot upselling, right? So with a really organized backup system, and you can revisit shoots really quickly, you can upsell prints, albums, and other products months, even years later. The best way to do this is to be setting up online galleries which again we'll talk about later, that then let you access, showcase, and upsell all the highlights, all the on-demands for special occasions, anniversaries, birthdays. So if you have a system in place where you can go, their anniversary is coming up, I'm going to send them a gift card or a print credit, you can use this in your system. And in fact, you'll probably be getting some emails here and there that mention a Black Friday sale for me. It's already set up in my system. I can access my pictures from this Black Friday sale for 10 years ago if I want to, or I have their, doing those little extra special things also shows it's a memory keeper for them. It keeps you fresh of mind, and it also can lead to more money in your pocket. All again, because you have an easy way to access all your pictures. This also obviously avoids the storage pile up and the stress, right? If you're starting with folders from each session, weddings, portraits, events, so that files are pre-sorted before you even begin, this avoids scrambling when storage demands grow, right? So you want to invest in big storage systems that you can do this. For example, every year my system starts, I have my year, I have weddings, I have portraits, I have miscellaneous, and then underneath that, I have them categorized by the number wedding that was, 1, 2, 3, 4, by month. And then when you break into each category, you have raw footage, you have the selected photos, you have the specials, you have the edits, all broken down so I can see them all. And then I also always store in 3 locations, but we'll talk more about that later. So now we're going to talk about the how to categorize your system and store them. Like I just said, you're going to define your folder and your file structure, whatever works for you. You could do it the year, the client name, the location, if you want to keep it in logic in that type of order. But again, you could also do it by location if you're located in 2 different areas. It really is going to be customized to how your brain thinks. For me, most of my weddings and portraits are all in the same general area, so the location isn't as important. But I do always put my location in my file name. And this is because of SEO. We're not going to talk much about SEO, but it's really important that when you name your files, you put certain keywords in it, because that'll help it be searched. Especially because if a client downloads a picture, or if you upload a picture to Pinterest or a blog, it's going to be searchable in the Google world by knowing Mackinac Island, Andreyka, Mackinac Island photography, Andreyka, right? And then you want to use those subtitles. So your naming works, whatever works for you, right? Year, name, location, keywords, what it is, in this order, whatever works for you. Then within that, you want to do your subtitles or subfolders, raws, edits, exports, finals. Again, how your brain works and what's going to be easiest. You do want to be able to instantly access raw files when you need them, your sorted files when you need them. So you've got the full raw, then you've got the ones you've selected in their raw form, and then you have their edits. Another program I use that makes this really easy to do your selected is Aftershoot, which I've talked about again, which is an amazing AI program. So between my online gallery, which is Shootproof, and my AI editing software, which is Aftershoot, which both of those I can put links to in the comments, are amazing. Tagging and labeling is also very important. So using your software, I use Lightroom in order to tag and label these things. This will make it much easier to be able to retrieve the images down the road, which is a little bit what we talked about. You can also, within your, Aftershoot, Lightroom, all of these programs can do the color coded if you need it, green, blues. Aftershoot does it. They also then transport it into Lightroom, which is great. And then you can also color code that to match the folder that you have in your hard drive, right? So for example, if you're in the raw file, maybe raw is blue, and then maybe the finals are green. And then when you look visually, you can instantly see where you're at and what you're doing. It helps a lot. Yellow might be in the process. That just makes things, again, stand out easily, cause less stress, easy to access. If a client comes back and says, I'm missing this image, you don't have to look through a bunch of folders. You can go to the raw and see it and pull it up. Keeping your Lightroom catalogs categorized as well and saved in your hard drives are also great. And keeping your Lightroom catalogs saved on the same hard drive as the raw images that it will pull from automatically makes them succinct then when you plug in your hard drive into your computer. I tend to do a hard drive for every year, sometimes 2 or 3. But that's really also very important to be able to access, again, when you need something really fast. So let's talk now about what your backup routine would really look like. You want to create a routine that includes immediate backup of raw files post shoot, and set a monthly routine for additional backups of final edits and finals and edits. So, for example, let's say what you're going to do. So you finish your shoot. Again, some of this is pretty obvious, but I figure it doesn't hurt to say, especially if you're new in the industry and you haven't thought about what you're going to do. Here's what you can do. So the first thing you're going to do is first thing I do, I take my card, I put it in, I save it to 2 hard drives. So I instantly now have 3 backups. I have the card and I have it on 2 hard drives. I don't delete my card until the photos are actually delivered. And then after I do, I put them on usually a 3rd hard drive, or they're uploaded to an online gallery for storage. This doesn't include the raw, but it includes the deliverables. And then after that, the whole idea of doing monthly is as you're working through your editing process, you want to go back and make sure that all your galleries are also still getting your selected, your edited, your Lightroom, so that you have at the end a final big hard drive that saves everything. When it comes down to access, it's so important to have them all out there. I don't trust cards. I also double shoot to 2 cards always in my Canon. I always use 2 cards. I also do to both. I clear one once I know it's good, and I keep the other. And yes, I have a lot of cards. So now let's talk about products. What products to use, because there's so many out there. And hard drives are scary and hard. I can't tell you how many external hard drives I've had crash on me in my life. So like I said, what I tend to do is I put a lot, because I travel so much and I'm always on my computer and I always need to access stuff. I don't know if you can see it, these little tiny SSDs. Solid state drive is great for portability, speed, and durability. They're what I live by. They are so great. I use a couple different ones. I have a Samsung one that I use. These are the ones I tend to use the most because they're a little bit more sturdy. And I literally have stacks of them. And then I have 2 of those. And then I do a actual old school, not portable, external hard drive that plugs into the wall and is like 10 terabytes. That is my everything. So I use 2 of these throughout the year, throughout the summer as I'm working. And then I also put everything on one big, huge, gigantic hard drive, and that's the hard drive for the entire year. And then again, I have stacks of those as well. Now that said, I have had all of these different ones crash at different times, and you can never know, which is why having a good backup system is so important, because you never know when one's not going to work anymore. And I also then try to use a cloud storage system. Google Drive is great. Some people like Dropbox. I don't love Dropbox. I actually tend to use my online gallery as my cloud storage system, but you can't depend on another company like that as well, which is why it's always great to have all of the things. There's a saying that they have when it comes to backup and what to use called the 3-2-1 backup strategy. And basically it means 3 copies of your data in 2 different types of storage and 1 copy stored offsite. So my online gallery is my offsite. My 2 little ones go with me everywhere. And then I have my big, hard, heavy one as well. So there's my 2 different types, my 3 different copies, and then the 1 offsite. It seems like a lot, but when it comes down to it, you don't want to be without your photos, especially if they can actually bring you in money. If it means that a client comes back and wants to order an album years later, you can say, sure, no problem. And the faster you get to them, again, they're going to just think, wow, this photographer's really got her stuff together. So let's talk a little bit about Shootproof. So Shootproof is my online gallery. It's awesome. They actually have a Black Friday sale that's going to be going on, but I have early access to it. I'm going to put the link in the thing below. They're doing 40% off your entire year, which is amazing. I can't tell you how happy I am with Shootproof. And I know there's a lot of different companies out there. I'm so impressed with their customer service. They've always been amazing. Their Black Friday setup sale is great. The access they have is great. I've just really always enjoyed the company, and I've been with them for 2015. It'll be 10 years next year. And when you feel confident in a company that keeps growing, you feel confident that your images are going to stay safe. And that's really, really key. If you're looking at new companies, you don't really know if they're going to be around longer because they don't have the history of longevity. Shootproof is one of those companies that has a history of longevity. And After Shoot, another amazing AI company that helps with the sorting and helps with the thing that I love most about that is when you go through all your sorting, it has a whole section called Selected that will just take those and download them, just those as they are, into your folder. So it's really easy to get those breakdowns of what you need with every system, because that's the thing. When it comes to the way we all store our photography, it's all going to be a little different. We all have different steps, and we all want to save each client along each step of the journey, which can get a little overwhelming if you don't start from the beginning with a really good system and then you know it through and through. So that is all I have to say today about storage. It's a lot. It's so not fun, but it is kind of fun when all of a sudden 10 years later you can go back and look at some photos. That's it, my friends.